Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Middleware Technologies. Today we'll be looking at how we can install Apache HTTP Server on a Fedora operating system using Ansible. So Apache currently is the second most widely used web server as per the W3 statistics that you can get from the following website. So let us see like how we can achieve it in this video, like how we can install HTTP server on Fedora operating system using Ansible. So coming to my test environment, so as I said, like I'll be installing the operating system, the Apache HTTP server on a Fedora OS, that is a Fedora server 41 version. Now let me show you the project structure of my Ansible playbook or Ansible project that we will be using in order to install the Apache HTTP server. So here is my structure of my project, Ansible project, which we will be using to deploy or set up the Apache HTTP server. So we will go through all these details one by one in this video. So let us look at the procedure, like how we can install Apache HTTP server. So as a first step, we need to ensure that the Apache HTTP server is installed on the Fedora operating system. So here, like we will be using the Linux install HTTPD role to install the HTTPD package with the following version. So let us see like the details about that role. So I have opened my project in VS Code editor. So let us go into the roles, and the first role that we'll be looking at, Linux install HTTPD, in which I have defined the following task, that is the main.yaml file. So here, like we are going to install the HTTPD package. So this is the HTTPD package, and this is the version that we want specifically to be present on the server. And so this version is basically is getting picked up from the host variables. So host variables are defined in the following YAML file, which is the name is as per the server name.yaml file. Okay, so here you can see this is the AHS version that we are going to install. Now let us look at the next step, that is configuring the Apache HTTP server. So Apache HTTP server configuration will be doing using the Linux configure HTTPD role. So let us try to look at that role. So now we can go to our next role, that is Linux configure HTTPD. So here, like first we need to define the template, that is httpd.conf.j2. so I have taken this complete httpd.conf file from the default installation of Apache HTTP server. Okay, so this is the default or the original configuration file that we get. So we take that as it is, and what we are going to do is we are going to use the following task main.yaml file to update the Apache HTTPD config file. So here, like we are going to use this template as a source, and we are going to copy it onto the following location, that is AHS config root config location on the remote server. Like we will be copying this into the httpd.conf file. So the AHS underscore config root is again defined in the host variables. So you can see this is the AHS config root that we have defined over here. Okay, now let us try to look at some of the configuration that we are using or customizing in the httpd.conf file. So as you can see, the server root is picking up the AHS config root variable that is defined in the following host variables. So that is something that we need to be aware of. And also, like in the listen section, so let me search for listen. So you can see in the listen section we are defining the AHS underscore HTTP underscore port that is getting again picked up from the following location variable sections. Okay, so this is what the configure is going to do. Now let us look at our step 3, that is exposing the Apache HTTP server. So here, like, we'll be using the following role, that is Linux expose HTTPD, to update the firewall settings to expose both HTTP and HTTPS port of Apache HTTP server. So as of now, like, we will not be using the HTTPS port, but we are just exposing it so that in the future, like, we will be using that port to secure our HTTP server. So let us see the following role, that is Linux expose HTTPD. So if I go to the roles and expand expose HTTPD tasks, here is the main.yaml file wherein we are exposing the HTTP port first by using the following firewall LD artifact. So here, like, we are defining the port and we are going to set it permanently, and the effect is going to be should be taken immediately. So whatever changes we are going to do, they should be permanent and should be taken into effect immediately, and it should be enabled. And now let us we are also enabling the HTTPS port, so it is also going to be the same definition. And once both the ports are defined enabled, like, we will be restarting the firewall LD service. Okay, now let us look at our next step, that is start HTTP server. So here we are going to use the Linux start HTTPD role. So let me expand the Linux start HTTPD tasks main.yaml file. So here, like, we are going to ensure the service HTTPD is started. And now let us look at the next step, that is stop Apache HTTP server. So this role will be using in order to stop our Apache HTTP server. So here you can see the service HTTPD, we are ensuring that it is stopped and not enabled when we execute this role. Now let us look at another our next step, that is readme instructions. So here, like, we are defining all our instructions, like, so basically, like, all our roles we can execute with a specific tag attached to it. So when we are going to pass this tag to Ansible playbook command, so it is going to execute that specific tag or that specific role from the following playbook. Okay, so that is what, like, the tags help us. So here you can see we have instructions for pinging the remote server, installing Apache HTTP server, then configuring the Apache HTTP server, then we are exposing the HTTP server, then we can stop use the stop and start Ansible playbook commands to restart our HTTP service. Now let us look at our next step, that is step 7, executing the playbook. So here, like, what we are going to do is we will try to execute all our roles at one stretch. So instead of giving, so let's see, like, what exactly happens when we execute this following step. So let me go to my terminal and open a new terminal. And here, let us try to execute the Linux setup HTTPD. So I haven't shown you the Linux setup HTTPD. So this is the playbook that we are going to execute on the following hosts, that is AHS. So this is already defined in the host inventory host variable. So AHS is the name that we are going to provide to our server. So this is where the playbook is going to be executed. So we are passing the inventory / host using the -i option. So this is where the execution of the playbook is going to happen. So the first thing that we want to execute is the Linux _ping role. So we are executing that Linux _ping. So let us try to execute it. So here you can see the Ansible ping pong validation has been successful. Like we are able to get the pong response from the Linux server wherein we want to install our Apache HTTP server. Now let us execute our next step, that is installing the HTTP service. So we will use the second command to install our HTTP service. So as you can see, it is trying to install the HTTP package now. So now the HTTP package has been installed. So if you go to the remote server, so this is our remote server wherein we are trying to install the HTTP package. So these are all the packages that have been installed with the Linux install HTTP rule. Now let me clear my screen over here, and now let us try to configure our Apache HTTP service. So here we will run the following command by passing the tag linux configure HTTP. So let us execute it, and it is going to install our customized HTTP config file. So the execution has been completed. Let us try to go to our server, remote server, and let me look at the config that is going to be installed at the following location. So as you can see, like it has installed the http.conf file at the following location, and if you look at the server root, so it has been replaced with etc httpd that we have defined in the host variables, and also the listen section, the listen directive, you can say, is updated with the ahs_http port. So that is how we can run this role in order to customize our install our customized http.conf file easily. So that is what the infrastructure as a code is all about. We need to ensure we are able to easily configure our servers, and we can reflect whatever we want to reflect, whatever changes we are doing in the config file onto the remote server easily using the infrastructure as a code tools like Ansible. Now let me clear my screen. Now let us go to our next execution command, that is expose httpd. So here, what we are going to do is we are going to expose the port 80 and 443 of the HTTP service, so that they will be able to they will be accessible from a remote location or remote server. So let me execute this one. So our execution has been completed, and you can see the ports have been exposed. So this can be validated on the remote server by using the firewall cmd list all command, wherein you can see the ports have been now exposed. So now that we have our service installed and configured and exposed, we are good to start the service. So let us try to start the service first using the linux_start_httpd. So now our Linux the HTTP service has been started. So that can be verified using the status httpd the service. So the service is up and running. Now let us try to validate our HTTP service. So we have executed our playbook and all the roles, and now let us try to validate our HTTP service. So for that, like what we are going to do is we are going to just run http:// the server name and launch it. So this is the default page that you will be getting once you install the default HTTPD service on a server. So that is all I wanted to show you in this video. So we have now our default Apache HTTP server installed on the Fedora operating system, and we have our playbook with all the roles that are defined, which we can easily use to configure our server as per our requirement and try to start and stop our service once the configuration has been completed. So hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you all. Thanks for watching this video. And you guys have a great day.